Welcome to Like Pigs in Space, an arts and culture podcast. I'm Aaron Mason.
I'm Max Mason.
And today I have some stuff that I'm going to rely on you, Max, to participate heavily.
Okay, I'll try my best.
So some of it is going to be a little bit of it's a bunch of games I came up with. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, but with a goal, hopefully a goal. So let's set a baseline first.
Okay.
And we'll first of all, do you remember Mad Libs? You know what those are?
Yeah. Actually, I actually mentioned to Chloe a few times recently. We've come across some Mad Libs.
Yeah.
And she said that she really likes Mad Libs.
Oh. Well, very cool. Maybe this will be endearing to her or something when we get done. All right. So the first thing I'm going to have you do is fill in some words like it's a Mad Lib.
Okay.
And then we'll put that away until you forget about it, and then it'll make sense later.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So let's do an adjective. A description of a noun.
Let's do shaky.
Okay. And then a noun.
Overalls.
Overalls. Okay. And a type of music or song.
Like a genre or
genre or a type of song or type of music, type of song.
Let's do like a jazz standard.
All right. And then a verb.
Okay. Smelling.
All right. An emotion.
Inquisitive. Am I making this hard for you?
No, no.
It
might be very okay. A place, and this can be generic or specific, like a proper name or an area in anything. A place.
Let's do a lake.
And then let's just say I'm gonna just say miscellaneous. So just a word that you want to exist as something you contributed to this Mad Lib.
Okay. Just any word. How about I'm stuck between fruit by the foot or gushers.
Let's gushers.
Okay.
Just because it's more workable. Good job.
Cool.
Let's see how that turns out.
Okay. I'll try my best to forget now.
No, you don't need to forget. Just I'm gonna put it away for a second because it's just a way to start off. So if you were to describe your top 10 characteristics of your personality, now let's say top 5 characteristics. Like you meet somebody, you're introducing yourself, things you do, things you like. Would you classify yourself as a poet?
I don't think so as much.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. It's not something you spend a lot of time doing, writing poetry or
not really, and I don't really like talk too poetically or anything.
Talks real goods.
Yeah. I talk's okay.
I talks okay. Yeah. I'm toxic, okay? No wait. Just see where this goes.
Yeah.
All right. What would you feel like if you were asked to write a poem? Would it be a challenge for you?
I don't think it would be a challenge, but I feel like it might take a long time.
That makes sense. Okay, so then here's another survey for you to contribute to. Who are some of your favorite poets, or just names that you know?
I do like William Carlos Williams.
Okay.
It's not my favorite, but Chloe's favorite is Mary Oliver.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know enough about poets to like say my favorites, but I know a few like popular names.
Okay. Do you like any of them?
I like Robert Frost's, and I do like some of the E.E. Cummings poems, and
that will work.
Yeah.
All right. So this part of the game is kind of an introduction of what I want to try and do. And while I don't have a specific piece to discuss, we will be discussing several bits and pieces. Because what I often have people come up and ask me is, how do you write a poem? Or they think about writing a poem and it's scary. And because most people don't know where to start. And it's an interesting process. And I think that much like learning to play an instrument or learning how to paint, you can get the basics of how to write a poem if you understand what you're trying to do. So,
Okay.
And I want to use some of just randomly. So I didn't know who you were going to pick. But I still would like to randomly pick some things. So give me 5 letters of the alphabet.
Okay. Let's do G, O, T, B, and C.
Okay. So what I'm going to do first is I do have a few items saved that were examples that I was going to demonstrate here that will kind of address some of this and in a way. So what do you think, as you've looked at poetry, what do you think are some important aspects of it?
I think word choice is important. And I think, at least in some of the ones that I've liked and that I've enjoyed more, is like how they capture an emotion.
Okay.
In ways that are unexpected.
I like that. Unexpected connections.
Yeah, or like unexpected, metaphors or comparisons.
Yeah, I gotcha. That's good. All right. What we'll do is we're going to test out some of these poets that exist.
Okay.
And see if they do any of these things.
All right.
And I'm going to even limit it to, that's as part of the game is I'm going to use the letters that you gave me and see if we can find poems by that person that cover that.
You can throw in one more, I think,
Sure.
with poems, I think is structure, like the shape of the poem.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point because sometimes, and there's names for all these different things, and there's names for different ways of writing poetry too. And some poems do shape the words so that they also convey a message, and so kind of force themselves to be visual, not just read. Like, and that does happen. I've seen that, and it's fun to mess around that way. And so, good, you said B, so we're going to try B first.
Okay.
Because that's the only one that's up from this person.
Nice.
Okay, so this is, we're going to start with Chloe's favorite just for fun.
Okay.
And it's going to be Mary Oliver, and she has a poem called Beans.
Cool. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So as far as, we'll do this, what would you expect a poem called Beans to be about besides beans?
Besides beans.
Yeah, what are they gonna talk about?
Maybe there'll be some sort of wordplay with like being.
Oh yeah,
human beings.
That would be a good route.
Or about like growth.
Oh, okay.
That'd be my other guess.
So the first line of the poem. No, that's good because it does seem like there is actually some of that. So the first line says, "They're not like peaches or squash. Plumpness isn't for them." And so a few things I'm going to mention is that we talked about the word choices, and so they deal with an economy of language, and they also deal with and this is an important point. So as you're learning this. As I'm teaching you, one of the most important things is to pay attention to the context of each line of the poem. While the overall message of the poem is important, each line of the poem can be an expression that tells you something.
Okay.
So I'm going to read this by line, these first 2 lines, and so to kind of demonstrate. So the first line is, "They're not like peaches or squash, period." That's a complete thought, right?
Yeah.
It will probably work in the context of the poem, but it's also a complete thought. The next line is, "Plumpness isn't for them, they like." So that's an interesting place to end, because it's plumpness isn't for them, period, they like. And so it's just an interesting because the way this is structured, the next line is being lean, comma, as if for the narrow path. And path is the next line, path. And splits, the beans themselves sit quietly inside their green pot. So there's this thought going, but it's not broken. So it's interesting how, this statement, they're not like peaches or squash, but then it starts breaking itself up. Like they like being lean as if for the narrow path. The beans themselves sit quietly inside, so it's kind of got this tripping to the next line thing. And so that's hitting the word choice. It's hitting the structure, and you're just talking about beans. So where does this emotion come in, right?
Yeah.
But the beans themselves like being lean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's that kind of thing, and then
like she's trying to figure out how to describe beans as she's writing it.
Right. And then the next one is even more about that thought process, and I'm skipping to the next stanza. It says, I have thought sometimes that. So you can read that as I have thought sometimes that, which was all the previous stanza.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next, but it goes, I have thought sometimes that something, and then I can't name it. Watches as I walk the rows, except. Watches as I walk the rows, except. And that's kind of an interesting, but it's accepting the gift. So it gives you several different pictures depending on how you read the lines. And so I have thought sometimes that, or I've thought sometimes that something.
Right.
Watches, but then in the middle she has this little, I can't name it. Like it's just this little sub thought. It's got the little dashes, and then it goes down. He goes, I know what you think. This is foolishness. They're only like it becomes dismissive and how insignificant. It's just a little thing. And it says, and then it does end with this: our hands or minds, our feet hold more intelligence than these. With that, I have no quarrel. But what about virtue? Like it's really an interesting, like it does punch at the end, but a lot of it's just a silliness about this observation of beings.
Yeah. So
this one's good. She's a little bit more modern. So she does have the trip over, which is one of the characteristics I wanted to highlight in some of this stuff. So what do you think of that poem as far as what we covered?
As far as like what it contains, or
like as a topic, does that seem like a poem that was necessary, or does it speak to you in any way?
I think so. I mean, I've always kind of liked poems that are like capturing the more mundane or less thought of things about life.
Right.
I'm sure a lot of people don't spend a lot of time thinking about beans.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
But to some people, that might seem like not worth writing a topic about. But I mean, I think it's just as valid a thing to write about as any other point of nature. Like I'm sure lots of poems are written about trees and mountains and stuff, but beans are just as much a part of nature as anything else.
Good. Obviously I like poetry. I can appreciate what this is. I do like writing about the mundane anyway. So
yeah.
And I think that might be something. Let's see what each of these. Let's look for something that might be mundane in there as far as a topic, and then see how each handles it too. Because just as a note, this episode, while well thought out, is a homage to Calder, as I'm showing up and creating it out of nothing.
Yeah.
But intentionally. But
yeah.
So you said, I'm going to jump back. You said William Carlos Williams, right?
Yes.
I'm going to push the narrative, and I'm going to force the T right now.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
because I saw a poem that's going to be worthwhile. This one's worthwhile, and it avoids a different poem that I'm going to use later. Not for this, but for maybe a future thing. So this poem is called This Is Just to Say. I don't know if you've heard that one. It's very short. I think this might be one of his most masterful because I think, yeah, there is no line in here that is more than 3 words.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And these ones, I think this is a simple event, and it expresses a lot. And so there's an admission, a recognition, and an excuse, and also a request for forgiveness.
Okay.
So, and this is one of those poems that also, so each stanza is 4 lines, but
Okay.
this is just to say almost could be the first line of the poem. And so
Gotcha.
it's kind of a clever thing.
Yeah.
That's something, especially in like E.E. Cummings, a lot of times the title is part of the poem in a very intimate way, not as it's part of the poem because it's the title, sure. But this one, just to kind of show how it goes, the first stanza, so this is just to say, and then the first stanza is, I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox. And so you can see this as a note, right? This is a note on the refrigerator. I've eaten the plum, but it's interesting the weight that's given to each line, I have eaten. And that can be its own line.
Yeah.
And then the plums that were in the icebox. It's just a great thing. And then there's this understanding, like, I know what I was doing. It wasn't a mistake. And I understand that. And I may have upset you, but I want to tell you, like, I'm telling you ahead of time, I've done this. Because the next line is, and which you were probably saving for breakfast.
Yeah.
And so and then this thing that ties it up, and it's just, and this is what makes it so wonderful, is this last stanza. It says, forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet and so cold. And like, I can't ever read this poem without getting emotional, not like sad, but I feel the emotion of this every single time I read it, because it's so concise. And there, if we're talking about an economy of language, this is the thing.
The most.
Yeah, this is the thing I strive for. This is I would classify as a great poem, not just a good. This is a great poem. It expresses an economy of language, and it's very brief.
Yeah.
And it is extremely, extremely difficult to capture that kind of emotion with that few words. And that's what he was really good at.
Yeah.
So while Mary Oliver kind of lives in the experience and contemplates, and you see some of her internal dialogue, this one is all out in the open, but I would argue this is a more masterful poem than the other one. And the other one, not to take anything away from hers, this is a more masterful poem.
Yeah.
More difficult to come up with. I could write beans. I can't write this is just to say. I honestly, because I've tried. Right?
Yeah.
Her style is more my style. I write I would write like Mary Oliver, because it's observational. It allows for a few extra words, but there's still a thought to it. It asks a nice question at the end, an insightful question. I do probably write more like a Mary Oliver than a William Carlos Williams. So that is just to say.
Yeah. I like the third line, that we're in.
Yeah. That we're in.
Yeah. I think it's a really good line. How it like has it kind of has like loss and maybe like regret built into it in a way.
Yes.
Like in 3 words, which is wild.
Yeah. I agree, and that's really interesting too, because it's so amazing when you see something that's genius and it just happens. We were watching Only Murders in the Building, right?
Oh yeah.
That is a show, constantly is a show that has that brilliant moment, like the way they approached that idea. And it's not really the idea of the story, it's how they chose to write the dialogue about it, how they chose to present it visually. Yeah. Because it's a very clever show on top of the humor of the murders in the building, right? Like humor of the murders. Yeah.
Right.
So that's one. There's another one that sometimes you watch comedians, right? And you just sit there and you're like, oh, even if you see the joke coming from a million miles away. And I think I talked about this with Daniel Pinkwater because he did a bit about Laurel and Hardy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he said, the thing about Laurel and Hardy is that you know what's going to happen, yet when it happens so perfectly that it still makes you laugh, even though you know what's going to happen because their timing was impeccable.
Right.
So that's kind of an interesting interesting thing.
I get that feeling like emotional feeling of just like witnessing genius.
Yes. Yeah.
There's one that I'll probably talk about at some point. But one that I experience more is with the like To Pimp a Butterfly.
Oh,
Kendrick.
Yeah.
Like hearing that and just how amazing and dense the lyrics are. It's almost like, I know like some people, like when they read scripture, they're like, oh, I get something different out of it every time.
Right.
And with the lyrics on that album, especially, they're so dense that like you can get something different out of them every time, and definitely didn't use a word that didn't need to be used.
I would agree. Because I've listened to, maybe not specifically the album, but a great deal of what he does. I can see that.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm going to go to one that I'm going to step outside your list just for a second, even though you said Robert Frost. I felt like that was under duress. So I'm going to take my Robert Frost poem.
Okay.
that I picked. So Robert Frost was contemporary to William Carlos Williams. They're both modernist, same type of thing. And Robert Frost can do brevity. I know it doesn't seem like it, but he's got one called Fire and Ice. That's right. That's the one. I don't know if you've heard that one.
Sounds familiar.
It's very short because some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice, and then he kind of gives his opinion. And it's nice and short. It's very much like a William Carlos Williams style.
Okay, yeah.
So that's interesting. Yeah, he is talented. He's a talented guy. He's very prolific and talented. I will say that I had an interesting experience related to Robert Frost, and he's probably the first poet that I knew who he was and had an affinity for his work, because when I was like in second or third grade, we read Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening or something. I think somebody had just released a book, an illustrated book of that poem back in the 70s. Okay. And so we read it in class. It was it was very popular at the time. I think there was even an animated version of it that was on TV around Christmas or something. So, it was a poem that we all, it's very family friendly, and it's, kind of a fun. It's got a good mood to it. So a few years ago, quite a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I went. We have a couple of factories actually in New Hampshire for the company. So I got to go to New Hampshire. I was going, and it was winter-ish time. So one of the interesting things is I landed in the airport there. I think it's in Manchester or something, small little airport, but almost all of the rental cars were Subarus.
Oh, okay.
which was really fun and necessary. It turned out for what what I did on this trip.
Yeah.
And so when I went there, I knew a few things. I knew we were going to be driving up the middle of New Hampshire because our factories were up this road that goes right up the middle of New Hampshire. There's a place called, it's on it used to be on their license plate or something. It's the Old Man in the Mountain or something like that, but it's a rock feature. And actually the rock feature fell off.
Yeah.
And so they have this really cool thing where depending on how tall you are, you stand in a certain spot, and they have these metal bars, and you line them up, and you can still see the feature on the mountain. So, cool. Yeah, so that was fun, and there was hardly anybody there because it was winter. And but I knew that Walden, is that it? Henry David Thoreau, right?
Okay, yeah.
I knew that his Walden Pond was there, and it's between where I was in Boston. So and it's like, I should go. I had some time. I want to go visit it. So I was going to do that. Well, I did that. I did get to go visit, and it was interesting. But what I didn't know was there is Robert Frost's farm, which was very close. It was only maybe 5 miles from where I was.
Wow.
But being that it was winter, it was closed. You go visit his farmhouse and had a big grassy area. What was interesting about that is it was like stepping into all of Robert Frost's poems in one place. It was just everything, every poem he wrote about nature, it seemed like, was present in that one farm.
Wow.
And granted, they did. I mean, that was my impression when I got there. And then they also put some little plaques around saying, but the like birches, there's the stand of birches that was, there's the mending wall. There was the woods on a winter evening. There was the two paths diverged in the yellow wood, all of it. You're just sitting there going, the whole area was just speaking in Robert Frost poetry.
Wow.
So pretty magnificent experience. I've been fortunate enough to have a few like that. The other one, which is kind of funny, we went to Athens, Georgia, and that was interesting because you could see evidence of REM and the B-52s, and you could understand where they'd seen things. I don't know that it necessarily, for me, screamed REM going there. But it just was obvious that they lived there.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I
kind of had that feeling like the first time we went to Seattle.
Okay.
And driving into it, at least in the downtown, is like very overbearing.
Oh yeah.
In a way, and it's always cloudy and rainy. Not always, but a lot. And it's like, it makes sense how something like grunge could develop here.
Well, to address something musical then, I was driving from I think it was from Connecticut to St. Louis. And we went through Philadelphia.
Okay.
And so the band The Dead Milkmen is from Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was playing The Dead Milkmen, and I was driving through a rough area of town, which is most of Philadelphia, but a rougher area of town, going to a very specific place. And I couldn't help but deeply understand The Dead Milkmen all of a sudden. Like, I liked them already, but all of a sudden I'm like, oh, their songs are the soundtrack to this place. It's there's no two ways about it. Of a certain group of people. I mean, I'm sure somebody that likes the Roots feels the same way. I'm sure somebody that likes, other Philadelphia bands, I'm sure that also applies. But this one, I mean, where we were, and kind of in an alternative, if you like punk and you like the Dead Milkmen, you suddenly understand Philadelphia from their point of view.
Yeah.
So.
Did you ever get any sort of that feeling when we went to DC? Because I know that DC had a very big punk scene back in the day, but it just never. Yeah. It seems weird.
Yeah,
that it would come there.
I think that DC was a function of a obvious rebellion against there's different things. There is a place like Philadelphia that embraces its corruption, not corruption. It embraces its decay. It sees beauty in it being an old city that has history, that has its problems, but it also likes itself.
Yeah.
It likes being Philadelphia. And I think that will spawn a certain, Dead Milkman music is love of Philadelphia, not DC punk, which is hatred of the government.
Yeah,
so
okay.
That's kind of... I think New York punk is somewhere in between. It has the love of New York in that there's lots of arts, kind of like London too. UK punk is, but all of it has a very strong political hatred of politics. Whereas you go to Circle Jerks and they're West Coast and they're funner.
Yeah.
They're funner punk.
Yeah.
Anyway, to diverge, there's poetry in punk. Anyway, back on that, off that tangent to Robert Frost,
right?
Who is the antithesis of punk, I think. I don't know.
Maybe.
There's a poem called After Apple Picking.
Okay.
And it is really a description of apple picking. But I also think that it is a different version of a poem that we've already talked about, which is the Agent 147, I think, resigns. Yeah,
right.
the Kenneth Fearing, because it talks about this stuff like the first lines, and it's kind of funny. This first line is, "My long two-pointed ladders sticking through a tree towards heaven still." And so there's this description, and several rows. I mean, many lines. The description of just what he's looking at and how he's feeling, which is really interesting. But after a little bit of description, he says, "But I am done with apple picking now," but that's like 6 lines into the poem, and that's a idea that also gets repeated, much like that other one. Like, yeah, sure, there's all this cool stuff, or this is neat, or that's a pretty picture, but I'm done. I am done. I'm telling you, I'm tired. I'm done. This doesn't help me. And then like another one is, "Of apple picking, I am overtired." and then it's just that it keeps going, like reasons why he is done with apple picking. And then at the end, well, not even at the end, but it's a very beautiful poem. But I heard this one, I think it was read by Robert Frost, and he reads it very solemnly and heavily, and it's always like, because he goes, I'll just read the run up to it. He says, "Beside it, and there may be 2 or 3 apples I didn't pick upon some bough, but I am done with apple picking now." And he's just very deep and like, "But I'm done." Like, the guy just sounds tired. I don't even know if it's Robert Frost. It's some tired guy. He's like, "I'm done with apple picking now." And so it's just it's interesting because it's a very beautiful poem, and also has a lot of finality to it, and but you can feel the emotion even in the beauty. There's this very exhausted emotion. So it was interesting.
Did Robert Frost like write poetry most of his life, or did he start at a later age?
Yeah, he wrote quite a bit, I think, most of his life. William Carlos Williams was different. He was a physician and did it. It says that he was, it does say he's a New Englander, and that's another thing to just understand. It says in high school he was the class poet.
Oh, okay.
So I think he wrote most of his life. He was a poet laureate for a while too. I think he was poet laureate under Kennedy.
Okay, yeah.
So that's kind of neat, and just a long history with it. And there's lots of. I'm pretty sure. I'm absolutely sure I have not read all of Robert Frost's poetry, because it's just a ton.
Yeah.
Next, real quick, let's go to E.E. Cummings.
Yeah.
This is going to be a little bit harder because none of his stuff starts with the letters you pick. So. And additionally, there's one. Good. Additionally, if you look at the list of all of his poems, they don't have a title. They just have quote parentheses, because it's just the first line.
Oh, right.
A lot of the time.
He didn't like put titles too often.
Yeah. So this one, "Oh, the sun comes up, up, up," is what it. Oh, I'm sorry. You're gonna get another B one again because I know what it is.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
I'd rather have something I hadn't read before, but
it's okay.
This one is a whole nother thing.
Okay.
This one's called. I don't know if you've read this one. It's called Buffalo Bills. You seen one that starts with that?
It kind of sounds familiar, but I don't remember.
I think it was in that book. It was in the America book we talked. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's Buffalo Bills defunct is how it is. So it's Buffalo Bills apostrophe S defunct is the next line. And the only reason it's capitalized at all, because he doesn't capitalize stuff, is because it's Buffalo Bills. And so it's a proper name. But it doesn't usually. The interesting thing is how, and this is a really good one for understanding description and word choice. So you could say Buffalo Bill is no longer relevant, who used to ride a silver horse, right? You could say that. But it says who used to ride a water smooth silver stallion. So that water smooth silver, you're like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then it says, and break, and then all these are together. The next words I'm going to say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is one word. And then the next one is pigeons just like that.
Okay.
Pigeons mean clay pigeons.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's saying he used to ride a stallion and shoot 5 clay pigeons in a row. And the way you read it really sounds like, and break, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pigeons just like that. And it's just like, that has the sound, pigeons just like that, sounds like, and breaking, you're breaking each of those clay. I mean, it sounds like you're shooting and breaking clay pigeons.
Yeah.
And that's just, I mean, his brilliant, he's a different kind of brilliance. So, and then it just, the last, I know it's a short poem, so you get to hear most of it, but the last line, and he also structures his poem. So this one it says all this stuff, and then this line gets tabbed way over, and it says, and what I want to know is, and so there's this thought way over to the side, and what he wants to know is, and this one's over to the left margin, how do you like your blue-eyed boy, Mr. Death? It's like, it's just this very, I mean, it's like celebrating, and then are you like, what's the deal? You idolize Buffalo Bill, but you're ticked off that he's dead or something. You're like, like, you know, or was he what you wanted? Why is that why you took him back? Or, you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Right.
But it's great because you're like, cool. That's awesome. You know, that's a fun thing. But I like the playing with the words, forcing the reader to read a certain way, but also messing with the alignment of the poem is just fun.
Yeah.
Also a talent, because how do you space it? Like, a lot of the stuff is single spaced, but then he's got this big section that's double spaced, and just to kind of emphasize a statement, and then goes into this that's single spaced again. You're like, okay, why? Yeah. And so it makes it fun to do that.
Right. Do you know if he was like consistent with when something was single or double spaced? Is that like a motif for him, or is it just
no?
There wasn't like something like, oh, if he's writing in double space, you know that he is trying to invoke or
it was just
make you read it a certain way.
No, it really is just in the moment of the poem when something needs to be stood out. Is what it is. There's another one, and because I'm trying to remember who the poet was. There's this poems that I read, and the guy wrote all of them about, I think it was a Mr. Black or something like that. Anyway, all of the poems are exactly the same number of lines.
Okay. Through
the whole book.
Yeah.
Like, it was a constraint. E. Cummings is the exact opposite. Right? There's not a set pattern. There's just playfulness and kind of, and he is considered avant-garde. So therefore, that means you're not going to be able to kind of nail it down.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's interesting with that in that playfulness that they do express something so well. So there's a couple of poems just to mention in this rotation. One is called Conscientious Objector. Do you know what a conscientious objector is?
Not exactly.
So it's somebody that is aware of what they're opposing and still opposes it. So
okay,
there's been a lot of conscientious objectors to, like, the draft would be one of them. Okay,
gotcha.
And so this one just has a line, and so that's the kind of the line that you wish you wrote. This is Edna St. Vincent Millay. Sorry.
Okay.
So also very accomplished. It's called Conscientious Objector, and it says, and so the first line is, I shall die, but. Okay, and so you're like, okay. So let me just read the first two lines, because this is really what the poem, why I like this, but it says, I shall die, but that is all that I shall do for death. And that is, I mean, that is something that you just, you wish you wrote something that good.
Right.
And that says it all. That says, you may have the power to force me to do a certain action or some other action, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to agree to it.
Right.
I'm going to live this on my own terms is basically what it's saying. So
Yeah.
that's a good one. So these ones are going to be a little bit more sarcastic here
Okay.
towards the end because I like them. Just to run through real quick, I'm going to kind of ditch one or two of these, but this is just to present some concepts. So you've been reading The Gunslinger, and the reason that book exists is because Stephen King found a ream of light green paper, like mint green paper of a weird shape, like
Okay.
a weird size. Like it wasn't like 5x7 or 8.5. It's just an odd size that was just probably a cut of paper that somebody had. He took that whole ream of paper and he's like, I gotta type something on it. Okay. There's a book called Lunch Poems by Frank O'Hara, and it's what it is. He was working, and on lunch he'd go out. He was working in, I think, New York or Chicago, one of those two. No, New York. He's in New York, and he'd just go out at lunchtime and write about the poem, what he'd see at lunch. And so sometimes circumstance plays into it. Again, observational. This is probably later modernist poetry.
Okay.
Is more about that, observing what is and writing about it rather than trying to make a pretty picture.
Yeah.
So if you think about apple picking, it's very pretty and it's about this kind of conceptualized thing, even though there's an individual interacting with the fact that he picks apples. It's not a day in the life. It's not a commonality, right? There's not a lot of people picking apples. It's something that he's trying to make it create a certain mood and make it happen. This is basically a stream of consciousness because he says, it's my lunch hour, so I go for a walk among the hum-colored cabs. First down the sidewalk where laborers feed their dirty, glistening torsos, sandwiches, and Coca-Cola. So that's really interesting because it seems like, just this description, but you get laborers feed their dirty, glistening torsos, sandwiches, and Coca-Cola. And just that's funny. They're not feed themselves. They're feeding dirty, glistening torsos.
Yeah.
and
Interesting.
and that's that word choice that you're talking about. In this very common, I'm just going for a walk at lunchtime, but how I describe.
I like that hum color.
Yeah. Hum. Yeah.
Like bees, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. There you go. Again, I skipped right over one. And then let's see. And then onto an avenue where skirts are flipping above heels and blow up over grates. And so depending on when this was written, that might be what's happening, but also a allusion to like Marilyn Monroe type of imagery, which is kind of fun. And that's really, and then it just keeps talking about things he's seen, but with fun description.
Yeah.
And so that's this one's funny. This line: a lady in foxes on such a day puts her poodle in a cab. Meaning she's wearing fox fur, but it's just kind of lady in foxes and poodle in a cab is just that juxtaposition.
Yeah, that's fun.
And I do like the line: there are several Puerto Ricans on the avenue today, which makes it beautiful and warm. And it's like, oh, okay, all right, that's good. Awfully not racist for the period of time this was written.
Yeah.
and just to call back, the last stanza is a glass of papaya juice and back to work. So he's in a area of New York that's mixed, mixed culturally, which is really cool. And then the last line is really interesting, and I probably need to go read some of this, but it says, "My heart is in my pocket. It is poems by Pierre Reverdy." So I'm like, oh, okay. So that's what brings light to your heart. That's where your heart's at. Is this poet. So that's neat. I mean, I can imagine that, your heart's in your pocket. It's whatever's important to you.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a family-sized bag of Gushers.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
It could be something like that. And so if you're writing a poem and you put in that kind of detail, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Because it would be, what is Max about? What is Max's lunchtime about? It's about, hey, it's a good day because I had you're smelling the extra large bag of Gushers
Sure.
in your overalls.
Right.
So, just to kind of allude to where we're going with this. So that's nice. There's the conscious objector that we talked about that's poignant. And there's another poem called and this one is by Tony Hoagland, who's one of my favorite modern writers, modern poets, who I feel like I write very similar. And this is Reasons to Survive November. Okay. So when you read that, and he's American, that helps. But what would you think of when you think about Reasons to Survive November? What happens in November?
I think like season change and Thanksgiving.
I thought Thanksgiving, and sure, and I think you've hit on it too a lot, and so it does talk about season changes.
Oh, okay.
And so I'll read that part, okay? And that's how it starts. And this is just imagery in spades, okay? So November, like a train wreck, as if a locomotive made of cold had hurtled out of Canada and crashed into a million trees, flaming the leaves, setting the woods on fire.
Wow.
I mean,
yeah.
Right? That is just the stuff right there. That is, November like a train wreck.
Yeah.
Coming out of Canada, like you're just like, okay, I got it. It exploded, and then there's this little
interesting how making it seem cold while still talking about like trees on fire.
Yeah, right, a cold fire, right?
Yeah.
And then he mentions that there's a soup special at the Waffle House. Like there's
Okay.
some mundane stuff here like that, and he goes, maybe I'll go and get that, or maybe I'll go to the museum, or maybe I'll go see the girl I like and hook up with her. And then this part, I know there are some people out there who think I'm supposed to end up in a room by myself with a gun and a bottle full of hate. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
And just like, you're like, okay, there's some people that have a low opinion that you're just going to drink yourself to death. He goes, and then he says, his response is, but I hate those people back from the core of my donkey soul, and the hatred makes me strong.
Wow.
And so, and he's just like all of this. And then he says, and that makes me strong, and my happiness hurts them. And he goes, and I love this November life. So, and then goes back to where I run like a train, deeper and deeper into the land of my enemies. So,
wow.
First, it's November coming in like a train, but he becomes November.
Yeah.
He's the force that is unpleasant and uncomfortable for some, but if that's who you are and that's what you embrace, that you're happy with that. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one of my more favorite poems. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that like one that. Is. You should read Tony Hoagland because it's got a lot of stuff that just tears you apart. And then just to mention it, because there's a couple of things that I identify really strongly with. And one of them is the Weezer song on Pinkerton that is the one about getting old.
Oh, Good Life?
Good Life, yeah. That one I feel is much too much my theme song. And then if I think about myself in poetry, sometimes it's the T.S. Eliot poem, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. So there's two things in this just to finish out the word choice and emotions and connections and structure, okay? So one of them is the description early on in the poem that is, and really we could do 4 episodes just on this poem. It's long and it's full. Yeah. But he says, the yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window panes, the yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window panes, licked its tongue into the corners of the evening, lingered upon the pools that stand in drains. It keeps going. So you get that idea of this fog, but you also see what? What else do you see when he's in that description? Rubs its back on the window panes, rubs its muzzle, licks its tongue.
Oh, like animals and
like a cat, right?
like a cat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which it's T.S. Eliot, so that makes sense because he
Does
wrote
he have a lot of cats or?
the musical Cats is T.S. Eliot's poems.
Oh, really?
All the characters are from a series of poems he did about cats.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
Oh, cool.
I know I don't want to like cats, but I also really like T.S. Eliot. So
Yeah.
dang it. Yeah. So there's that, which is really cool. And then this part that's me talking about time passing and everything. And it says, I grow old. I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. So I just like that. And then he says, shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? I shall wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach. I have heard the mermaids singing each to each. I do not think they will sing to me. And then it goes on from there. But I think that's it's just brilliant how that's written. And you can identify and see somebody that's old and they shrink a little bit. They roll their trousers up. They, have all these. And even at that age, when you're older, you're still having confusion about who you are and what you know and what you're doing with your life. So,
yeah.
So now that we've given all that weight, I think the final thing is
piece of paper
for you to write a poem or us to write a poem.
Okay.
And hopefully the sound will come through, but I have my typewriter here.
Okay, cool.
All right. So let me get the paper lined up. So what I wanted to do from your points here is think about shaky overalls, jazz standards, smelling, inquisitive, lake gushers. That's going to be something. What would be a title? I know sometimes people write titles at the end. I have this fun thing where I think about what I want to write and then I write a title to begin with.
Uh-huh.
So what would be, just, you don't have to use all those words, but how could you put a few of those words together and just use them for a title and we'll write to that?
What were the words again?
So shaky, overalls, jazz standards, smelling, inquisitive, lake, gushers, and you can modify as you need.
Yeah. We could use standard shaky overalls.
Standard shaky overalls. Okay, that's going to be a title.
Okay.
Okay. So, since this is about words that you came up with, let's do this. Let's restrain ourselves a little bit. So we use this and this and this. So you've got standard shaky overalls. What kind of imagery does that give you?
It makes me think of like traditional work clothes.
Yeah.
Something that anyone would have.
Yeah.
That have gotten used or like old.
Yeah. Okay. I also see some action of maybe dancing. So they're standard overalls, but they're shaky. Like you're either the person is old or they're joyful and dancing. So those are some of the things. So between the things we said, what's our character going to be? Old or dancing, or what, or just, are we going to just focus on the overalls? Which direction do you want to go?
I think I would focus on the overalls.
Okay. So we're gonna imbue some life into the overalls.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you think about overalls, what's a picture? What makes you think? What are you seeing?
I think I'm just seeing something that is more like utilitarian but something that is because I know that like overalls are kind of more in fashion now, more than work clothes.
Yeah,
are kind of how they're viewed.
Okay. So what if you realize, if you write this from the point of view where you realize that their overalls are a fashionable item now, but they're also traditionally work clothes, and when you saw these overalls, they stood out, meaning saw somebody walking with them, or you just saw the overalls. I don't know if you saw them. Where did you see? Are you picturing the overalls on somebody or in a place?
I think I'm seeing them in a place more. And
what place? Is it out, like abandoned in nature, or is it at a thrift store or something like that? What do you think?
I think at a store is where I'm seeing
Okay.
them, and maybe more. I don't know if wrestling is the right word, but having those like two feelings, those two conflicting,
Okay.
maybe not conflicting thoughts of like how they're like traditionally a work clothes, like a standard work cloth, but also
Okay.
someone could take them and just use it as fashion.
What if I just said something like, and I'm going to write some of the first parts based on what you're saying, but then I'm going to have you finish this off, okay?
Okay.
And as we develop the lines, and then you're going to give me lines that adhere to the criteria, let's say.
Okay.
So I would write that as I ponder the utilitarian representative that I happened upon, something like that. So
Yeah.
how's that? So how would you modify that?
Let's see.
Or here we do this. Wait.
Okay.
Happening upon discarded denizen, favored clothing of agrarian workers, I ponder. So,
Okay.
happening upon discarded denizen, favored clothing of agrarian workers, I ponder. And based on what you're saying, the direction I'd take this is, I'd say, I ponder, do I rescue these overalls and then give some description of them, or leave them to be transformed into some flight of fancy in the new modern style?
Yeah.
Does that sound like how you know, is that kind of what you're picturing, like the juxtaposition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I
Okay. Let's see. Should I rescue these venerable articles?
You do like once hardy and
That's good. There, you'll like this. So, should I rescue these venerable articles, once hardy and well used, well loved, relied upon? See,
Yeah.
and then you're just kind of, and that's kind of the thing with E. Cummings, where you kind of separate out the idea, or you give that weight to that line.
Could the next one just be azure, like blue?
Yeah.
But more like, I think it seems
good.
like a stronger blue than just like a fresh blue.
Azure, they caught my fascination.
Yeah.
Oh, they have lots of pockets. You could play with that. You could say caught, or you could say held, because you know all the pockets.
Did you already write like caught or?
I did, but you say they caught my fascination, and so I put all my mind residing in their numerous pockets. Oh man, I put peokits. Oh well.
That's okay.
And then you could say, or do I move on? And then what would I say beyond move on? What will happen if I move on?
Like leaving them abandoned and untouched. You said you want like some weight to them, or to
yeah. So I put or do I move on? Untouched, betrayed, abandoned.
Can you do like a orphan thing?
like
left on a doorstep
yeah.
and
Oh, there you go. Oh, how about this? Orphaned on fashion's doorstep. You like that?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, what happens next?
Some sort of resolution.
The trick is you can control the narrative and make this very, wrap up the idea, or you can leave the idea open, which is the harder and more elevated way to write a poem. Is leave some kind of question, leave things to be filled in by the reader, where you're not controlling how they perceive the situation. You're just kind of reporting it.
Yeah.
But you leave something there.
I think I would want to maybe leave the decision to the overalls.
Okay.
And
so in doing that, you can step out of this narrative. If you think about, I don't know if you know very well the stopping by the woods, right? So he's describing, and his horses are there, and he goes, and he tells about some other thoughts that pull him away from the narrative. That you could have some other thoughts here. So there'd be like, and whatever they may be, you can say, I have other duties today, or they're not my size, or something. You could say something like that, and then you could say, and I'm not sure if they'd like me back or something like, so you could say something where that kind of leaves, and then you don't say whether or not, you can have this, if you want that, or you can just stay in the narrative and just.
I think how much am I required to use the words that I've listed?
Oh, no, that is just to get us started.
Okay.
But you do have a few. It would be funny to throw in the last three, but you're not restrained by this. This is just a thought exercise to get you thinking.
Okay. I think in a way, I think I want to have a voice of the genes.
Okay.
And maybe them expressing why the genes thought they caught my attention.
Oh, okay. So how about in that pause I heard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
that's good. Or
as I hesitated with these thoughts.
Yeah.
How would you say that?
I feel like what I would do is I don't know if I would qualify it at all.
All right.
I feel like I would maybe just step into their perspective and be like, maybe it was the shape or the length or.
Okay, so.
But I don't.
So Orphan on Fashion's doorstep, they were sure that they were just the right size and just the right length and just the right color.
Yeah.
To catch my attention. Would that be good?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this. Do a step in like this. Okay, so they were sure that, so do I move on, untouched, betrayed, abandoned, left, orphaned on fashion's doorstep? They were sure that they were just the right length, color, size, and shape to catch my attention in just such a way.
Yeah.
How about something like to make a connection, or how would you?
Could it repeat what was said about it? The like well loved, well worn, whatever those lines were. To be that again.
Yeah, and so instead of listening out, I did this thing. So it's just say in just such a way to again be the azure overalls, well loved, relied upon, hardy, and well used. Like all one line. So it's just maybe that whole that was just what they are. They're just putting that as a line of who they are, an identity.
Yeah.
What would you do more? Is there something else? Because you could also, if it's their thoughts, you could say, smelling again the dirt of the field, bathed in a lake, something.
Yeah.
You could do that kind of thing. Like, you could.
Yeah, maybe.
But
I feel like it could keep on going.
It seems like you're happy with that last line.
I think I'm happy with that and ending it with some sort of like, ultimately a decision was made.
Yeah.
Something like, a decision was made and only the next person in line knew.
Oh.
So only somebody who would have been watching me, go back and forth on the overalls would know if I took them or not. So
is the person in line, or
that's what I don't know.
Or is it the person's in the row where you're looking at them?
There's a person in the row.
Okay. Because that there's a greater degree of mystery if they're in the row, or because if it's the suggestion is if the person behind you in line at the checkout knows, there's still some mystery, but they probably see that you got them.
Yeah.
Okay, so how would you say that? This is giving your line entirely.
Okay.
So it's just that list of well loved, relied upon, hardy, well used.
I think the next line I would put, I think I would still do is ultimately the right word or different? Ultimately a decision was made. I was thinking of something like to have and to hold, but also like maybe like to like the have and have not, or to have or have not, or would that be weird?
You could do
I think
that.
To have.
Yeah.
Because I think if it was like to have and to hold, that's pretty much says that I did take them, which could be the answer.
You could do that, or you could put ultimately a decision was made, anonymously observed by the stranger standing next to me, or you can just say ultimately a decision was made. Which
I think I like the stranger.
Or you could say you could say to have or have not.
I don't know if it'd be too not edgy, but too like overly sentimental or whatever the word is.
Okay.
That is something where it's like sounds too cheesy, maybe. That's the word, too cheesy. But if it was something like the last rose petal plucked, I think that sounds too cheesy.
No, so there's something in that. So
because it's that kind of back and forth, I think, where it's like yes or no.
You could just do that. Yeah, you could say ultimately decision was made, yes or no, when the last pedal dropped. Is that say what you want, or
yeah?
See, you can wrap it up, but you don't.
Yeah,
but that's not necessarily elevated. So
I think I would just do ultimately the decision was made when the last pedal dropped.
Okay. All right. So
ooh, fancy.
So I'll take a picture of this to put it up.
Okay.
Do you want to hear it? Hear what you
sure.
wrote? Okay. Yeah. Standard Shaky overalls. Happening upon discarded denizen, favored clothing of agrarian workers, I ponder, should I rescue these venerable articles, once hardy and well used, well loved, relied upon azure? They caught my fascination, all my mind residing in their numerous pockets. Or do I move on? Untouched, betrayed, abandoned, left, orphaned on fashion's doorstep. They were sure that they were just the right length, color, size, and shape to catch my attention in just such a way, to again be the azure overalls, well loved, relied upon, hardy, and well used. Ultimately, a decision was made when the last pedal dropped. Cool.
Thanks. What do you think?
Yeah, it's fun, and it does have a tone and playfulness that is, but it's the common thing, and giving it a voice is a neat thing, because that's why poetry can be fun. So
yeah.
There you go. So that was the game.
Cool.
You succeeded.
It wasn't Mad Libs.
No.
You lied to me.
Yeah. It was subterfuge.
Yeah.
You wrote a poem.
Yay.
And so there you go. So that was the idea. I thought that was kind of a fun. I was thinking about different, as we're talking about different art forms, and especially about poetry, to have an understanding that, art is great, but we can do art as well. And to understand some of the elements of art, and especially of writing poetry, because it can be learned. And, you may not be a published or great poet ever, but you can still write, and it's still a good way to express yourself. So there you go.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you.
And I
that was a lot of fun.
Got to put typewriter sounds in it.
Yeah.
So
a lot of clacking.
Yeah, a lot of clacking. So hopefully it comes across. But all right. Well, thanks for the experience and playing along with the game. And,
yeah, definitely. It was a lot of fun.
All right.
Thanks to anyone listening.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't thanked people before for listening, so I want to try and be better about that.
Yeah, it is much appreciated. Now, if you want to
being fun.
If you want to give us critiques, that's good too. We're big boys. We can handle it. Thanks, Max. I appreciate it, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Hope you do too.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.